Okay, so if you take a look at our modules, I included this module 2 financial markets. There are 2 PDF files here. These are PowerPoints, and I would encourage you to go through them, to read them, okay? And also, we're going to discuss later in a while yung financial statements, okay? For attendance, guys, later na lang, ha? Okay, so let me just show the briefly this PowerPoint. It's in PDF, but what I'm going to show you is in PowerPoint itself. So it's actually a combination of chapter 1, which we have already discussed, which the other aspects of chapter 1, guys, I didn't anymore discuss because these are discussed in your other subjects, and I feel it's repetitive. For example, the different forms of business like single proprietorship, partnership, or corporation. Since there are many subjects covering this, I didn't bother to discuss them. And this one we did last time, I mentioned this, guys. I'm sorry I haven't posted the requirements. I keep on forgetting. I'm sorry about that. And this is supposed to be a reaction paper. Okay, this is different from what I posted before, but this is just in addition to what I posted before. So the principles that we have learned before, okay? So that's chapter 1. And then chapter 2, this is what I was mentioning, the financial markets, okay? So since this is quite US based, okay, there are some markets here which are not applicable to us. So that's why I gave another PDF file on those that are more relevant to the Philippine market. Okay, so I hope, guys, you read into this. There are some questions that I posted here. For example, what are institutions that bring borrowers and savers together? Any answer, guys? What's the answer to this question? These institutions bring borrowers and savers together.
Sir.
Banks, sir.
Yes, answer?
Banks. Banks.
Sorry? Sorry,
Banko, boss.
sorry, hindi ko marinig. A, pakispell? Or pakitype? Banks, yes, banks is one of them, pero banks is just a part of that. So ano yan, guys? The generic answer lang, no? Intermediary, okay? Ano pa? Yung generic answer na savers and borrowers are bought together. It's called what? It's called financial institutions. Part pa rin yun, okay? Though your answers are correct, pero merong mas malaki-laking group, no? It's called letter M, guys. Letter M. It's called your, any guess? They're called your financial markets, no? But in general, guys, markets are either institutions or intermediaries. That correct? Thank you. Thank you. Your answer is correct. Sino to? Okay, Josh, thank you so much. You're correct. It's market, no? Markets are, it could be institutions that bring borrowers and savers together. Kunyari, sa stock market, guys, yung Philippine Stock Exchange. The Philippine Stock Exchange is a private institution which bring people who are net savers. They have excess cash and they would want to put it or invest it in stocks. Okay, and then there are those who would like to sell their stocks. So there are sellers and there are buyers. They come together in this place called a stock market. Okay, so there are questions here which I would like you to be knowledgeable about. What do you call a negotiable instrument that represents a financial claim? Any answer here, guys? Debt is just one of them. Wedding debt, no? Negotiable instrument that represents a financial claim. It's a letter S. Letter S, it's a?
Security po.
Yes, it's a security. Ang tawag dyan, tama Charmaine, thank you. It's a security. So negotiable instrument siya, it represents a financial claim on either on an asset or a company. Okay, so there are some questions here which I just leave you I leave you first to try to answer. The answers are actually found here, no? In the PowerPoint itself. Okay, so here are financial markets, or it could be institutions, where you have borrowers uh, and savers meeting in this place. Okay, and these institutions could be financial markets could be in the form of financial intermediaries or security markets. All right. So pakitingnan muna ito guys. No? So what we're going to do is just we're going to go into this as we go along. Okay. We're not going to discuss this all at one time. Okay. What I want is I'd like you to first read through this. For example, ano yung difference sa money market versus capital market? Kapag short term guys, okay, kapag short term, usually debt instruments to, markets for short term debt instruments, utang to, no? And it's payable up to usually within a 1-year term. Okay, examples of that, T-bills, treasury bills, these are IOUs ng government. Okay, may mga terms yan, may 3 months, may 6 months, may 1 year. So ang tawag sa ganyang klaseng market guys, money markets versus capital markets. Capital markets usually long-term siya, and it consists of both debt and equity securities. Example, common stock, preferred stock, bonds which are IOU, pag sinabi IOU, utang, no, ng mga corporations. Okay, Philippine Treasury Bond, mga long-term na utang to, can be more than 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 30 years. Meron nga century bond, ibig sabihin babayaran siya up to 100 years. Okay, so these are just examples of markets. Okay, so mga financial institutions that are involved in markets, may mga banks, alam naman natin kung ano yung mga banks. Okay, yung mga banks kumikita yan by taking in savers, depositors, and then pinapahiram nila yung yung pera at a margin, no? So nagbibigay sila ng interest na napakababa, tapos pinapahiram nila yung pera at a premium, no, with a margin. So ganun kumikita yung commercial banks and other financial institutions. Okay? So I'd like you to look at this guys. Yung iba kasi dito hindi naman sorry, ang example dito kasi medyo US based. Unfortunately guys, I'd like to apologize kasi hindi ko napalitan ng Philippine examples. Mas maganda sana kung Philippine examples, no? Insurance companies, alam naman natin yan. Okay, ano yung mga insurance companies sa Pilipinas, guys? An example?
Sun Life.
Sun Life, correct? Sino pa?
Manulife.
Manulife. Sino
SSS.
pa? Ano pa?
SSS.
SSS, yes, for mga private firms to, no? Yeah, in a sense, guys, insurance din ng ang SSS. So marami pang iba, may mga pre-need na insurance, may mga life insurances. So different types of insurance. Maraming klase, no? So it's as business students, dapat aware tayo, guys, kung ano yung mga klase ng ng mga insurance companies. May life at saka non-life. Meron mga non-life, for example, fire insurance, marine insurance, ang dami, no? There are several examples. Sorry, meron din na mga investment banks. This is what I want you to learn more, guys. Yung mga investment companies that are really very practical for our purpose. Ibig sabihin, may relevance sa atin to. Kasi pwede tayo, guys, mag-invest sa mutual funds. Okay? Yung Philippines, may mga mutual funds to. Okay, these are professionally managed with a particular objectives. Okay, you can invest in a mutual fund. I mentioned here that a mutual fund is a pool of money from the public invested with an expectation of a profit. So may mga nagma-manage ng funds nito, tapos pinupool nila yung mga investments ng iba't ibang investors, and then they invest it in securities. It can be invested in stocks, can be invested in bonds. Pwedeng balanced, depende sa objective yun. Ang balanced fund, depende sa ratio ng ini-invest sa equity at saka sa debt. So maraming ano guys, maraming schemes. Okay, so may mga ETFs din. Okay, so I want you to be familiar with this. Ang request ko sa inyo guys, go through this and learn on your own first. Kunyari, ano ba yung mutual fund? Ano ba yung UITF? Kasi may counterpart si mutual fund guys. Si mutual fund may counterpart yan. Okay. UITFs, no? Ito yung counterpart ni mutual fund. Unit Investment Trust Fund. Para mutual fund din to, kaso ito offered by banks. Ang mga banks ang nag-o-offer nito. Itong mutual fund, hindi banks ang nag-o-offer niyan. These are private companies. Kunyari, si PhilAm, PhilAm Life, no? Meron mga mutual funds na ino-offer yan. So you can invest in that. Pwede ka rin si mutual fund at saka si UITF, they're the same in the sense that they are both pooled resources. Pinupool sila. Tapos may mga fund managers yung nagmamanage ng fund na yan. Okay, you can ask your banks, for example, pwede ka mag-invest sa Metrobank, may mga UITFs yan, sa BPI, sa BDO, etc. So they offer a mutual fund like. No? Ang maganda sa mutual fund, guys, pwede ka maka-invest sa mga iba't ibang companies. No? Unlike kung mag-isa ka lang, if you're an individual investor, it will be so difficult unless talagang professional na na investor, quote unquote, you have all the time to really manage your fund. Tapos alam mo talaga, inaaral mo yung market, inaaral mo yung mga galaw ng mga different stocks and bonds, inaaral mo yan, then okay lang na gawin mo yon. But if you don't have the time for that, okay, but you'd like to really, instead of just putting your money in the bank or instead of buying that Samsung Note 20, okay, ang investment kasi, it's withholding the use of your money for a current use in order to invest it in something so that mag-grow yung pera mo for a future use, no? Kunyari, as early as now, kunyari 18 years old kayo o 20 years old, mas maganda na iisipin nyo na guys yung retirement plan nyo. Okay? Iisipin nyo na at when you reach 60, when you reach 70, anong gusto nyong nest egg, anong gusto nyong pera na meron kayo para hindi kayo magde-depend sa mga anak nyo, okay, later on. Yun ang kakulangan actually ng Philippine population. Hindi masyado na embed sa atin yung concept ng investing, ng saving. Medyo tayo consumerist tayo na society. Pag nagkapera, bili. Pag nagkapera, gastos. Which is unfortunate, no? So hindi tayo investing nation. But I'm happy that now, medyo nababago na yon. With the advent of these different funds, of mutual funds, UITFs, people are now becoming more conscious of this. So also, tinan nyo rin yung ETFs, guys. Sa Philippines, may ETFs din tayo, exchange traded fund. Ito, it can be bought and sold in the stock exchange. So you can research on Philippine Stock Exchange ETFs, no? Okay, so mutual fund and ETFs. Okay, so let me just go through that. Okay, so pakita ko lang. Let me just show, for example. Okay, marami naman guys, marami mga sites sa internet. Can you see what I'm posting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can research on. Unfortunately, guys, kasi hindi to investment subject, ano? But if this was an investment subject, pag MFI kayo, kung ang course nyo MFI, Finance, you have a subject called Investment Analysis. Yung pag-aaralan nyo lahat yan, yung mga different investment schemes. However, kahit hindi kayo fin students, guys, there's nobody stopping you from really managing your resources, no? Mag-save na kayo. Kunyari, may budget na binibigay sa inyong parents nyo, mag-allocate na kayo, tapos mag-explore na kayo. Kasi ngayon, pwede ka na mag-invest kahit 5 pesos sa stock market eh. Yeah, you can do that already, kahit 5 pesos lang na minimum amount. I'm sure you'll be able to do that, no? Already start exploring how you can use your money wisely, how you can invest. Instead of buying it in, medyo mag-ano ka nga lang, you will refrain from buying the latest Huawei, the latest Samsung, the latest iPad, the latest iPhone. kung gumagana pa naman yung mga ano nyo, yung mga gadget ng ganyan, I hope we cut the culture of yung pressure na magkaroon tayo ng mga bagong models kasi utility function guys, yung utility niyan. Kunyari ako guys dati ang ano ko, ang dati ang ganyan yung mindset ko dati. So may mga bagong model talagang before I used to go to Singapore pa kasi wala pa dito sa Pilipinas. Doon ako bibili sa Singapore para lang maging updated ako. Pero come to think of it, when I when I review my life before, sabi ko ano yung gamit nun? Mag-airfare pa ako papuntang Singapore, tapos gagastos pa ako ng 40K, 50K just to buy the latest gadget. Tapos para pagpunta ko sa Pilipinas, mapapakita ko na I have arrived. Parang naisip ko na napaka foolish din para sa akin ng ginagawa ko dati. So I don't know, maybe it really depends on an case-to-case basis individually, no? Pero ang question ko lang, siguro next time that siguro kunyari pag nagkaroon ng ano na ba iPhone ngayon, iPhone 12, no? Pag naging iPhone 13 na yan, iPhone 14, meron pa naman kayong 12. Then ako nga guys, sa totoo lang, iPhone 6 pa rin yung ano ko eh. Since that time I told myself, for as long as gumagana pa yung phone ko, I don't care kung ano sasabihin ng iba kung lumang-luma na to, no? I don't care anymore. So I would rather put my money to good use. Okay, I would rather do it to save for the future. Okay, so magandang mindset yung ganun, guys. So you save on money to earn for the future, and later on mas para mas stable yung retirement nyo, for example, or you earn for a bigger goal. No? It might be, kunyari, gusto nyo magplano ng ang goal nyo is a travel plan. Tour Europe, di hamak, ang ganda-ganda talaga ng Europe, ang ganda-ganda, maybe South America, and then, ipunin nyo yun. Make that as your goal, make that as your money goal, and then invest. Okay, so, sa internet guys, maraming pwedeng hanapin. For example, ito, how to invest in Philippines top UITF. This is what I was telling you a while ago. So dito, you'll be able to see ano ba yung mga UITF na yan. Okay? So read through it, guys. Okay, and read how you can earn from that. Okay, and read how you can invest in this. Yung UITFs, sabi ko nga kanina, guys, ito yung so ito yung official website yata nila to. UITFs. Okay. So ito yung mga member banks na may UITFs, no? So regulated ng BSP yan. Okay, so these are banks that offer unit investment trust funds. And then we also have what we call mutual funds. Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. Currently yata 65 yata yung mga mutual funds ngayon. Okay, so ito yung mga examples sa mga mutual funds. Example, Sun Life, no? May ATRAM. Tapos last year, I think 1 year return nila, 21.75% yung return. How will you compare that with banks putting your money in the bank? Ano lang, savings na magkano na ba ngayon? I'm not sure about the current rates ngayon, 0.5%. Okay, of course, if I ask you which would you prefer? Putting your money in a vehicle which earns around 15% or 20% as compared to just 0.5%. Siyempre, of course, I will not ask you about it because I know what you'll answer. Okay, so ito yung Philippine Investment Funds Association. Ito yung ito yung mga mutual funds, no? So there are stock funds. These are primarily invested in stocks. Tapos may mga balance funds. So ang mutual fund na to, combination ng equity at saka ng debt or bonds. Meron naman bond funds lang. Okay? May mga money market sa short term nila ini-invest to. Okay? So I show this to you guys to encourage you and to encourage you to begin looking, no? Begin looking at how you can make your money grow Kasi pwede rin naman na yung objective mo in order to make your money grow is to start a business later on, which is a good good objective to become an entrepreneur someday. Pero mas maganda na magsisimula ka na mag-ipon ngayon to create your investment fund so that later you'll have now the funds in order to have your own business. Okay, so this is the security I was mentioning to you about. Okay, so pwedeng stock siya or debt. Okay, so all right, I leave this now, guys. Mga stock markets, may mga bond markets, etc. So kindly read through this, guys. My apologies, guys. Yung iba kasi dito US market lang. But I'll post another PowerPoint slides na hindi naman kasing ano na ganito, kasing comprehensive, but at least we'll get a taste of what the Philippine market is all about. Okay? Okay, so don't save ko to. Okay, well, let's now go to the other slide that I showed you. So dito, guys, module 3, ito, financial statement slides, and then this is an Excel file which we're going to make use of, we'll start making use of today. So tingnan muna natin to, guys, ano ba laman ng slides na to? Chapters 3 and 4 to. Okay, so this consists of, yung ibang ano dito, guys, yung ibang items, we're not going to discuss, katulad ng taxes, guys, because you have a subject that really is devoted to learning taxes in the Philippine setting. Okay, meron kayong business taxation, which you learn in greater detail. So hindi skip natin yung discussion ng taxes. So in this part of our discussion, we're going to learn about financial statements. I'm sure you have had a thorough introduction to financial statements. Okay, ang gagawin natin is more on the application of the lessons on financial statements. Okay, ano yung 4 na basic na financial statements, guys? Anyone? Some
Sir, income
Yes.
statement.
Yeah, income statement. Okay, ano pa? May answer dito. Yes, correct. Yeah, thank you, Rafi. That's ProLife. Tama, no? Rafi, balance sheet, correct. Ano pa? Income statement, balance sheet. And another one, yeah, statement of cash flows. And another one, yeah, correct, no? So we mentioned income statement, tapos balance sheet, the statement of cash flows, then correct. Statement of changes in shareholders' equity. And one last one, which they also consider as part of the financial statements, it's the notes, no? Notes to the financial statements. I've read of some that consider this as part of the financial statements. So that's what we're going to discuss, but more so on the creation of this. Okay? So hindi lang natin titingnan yung ano, we're not just going to look at this. Okay? So what's an income statement? Very quickly, guys, let's review the definition. What's an income statement?
Sir,
Yes, yeah.
it shows po the income and the expenses of the company.
Okay. It shows the income and expenses of the company. Okay. So, in a nutshell, guys, tama yun, ano? Kasi pinapakita daw ng ano, yung income and expenses. Generally, ang income statement tells us of the what? Ito yung results of operations. Results of the operations of a firm for what? For a operations, no? Results ng operations of a firm for a what? For a
Period of time.
yes, okay, correct. Specific period of time. So ang income statement, guys, it's a period of time. Ano yung period of time na yan? Well, pwedeng yearly. So from January 1 up to December 31, which by the way is called, pag January 1 to December 31, anong tawag doon, guys? January 1 to December 31, what is that called? Anong year yan?
Natural, sir.
Okay, natural, or it's called your CY.
Annual.
Anong CY? Annual?
Calendar.
Okay, ang specific name yan is calendar year, no? Calendar year yan. If it's different, kunyari, June 30 up to, July 1 pala. July 1 up to June 30. Anong tawag dyan, guys?
Fiscal year.
Yeah, correct. Thank you. That's your FY, fiscal year. No? Hindi siya nagsisimula sa January 1. Okay? So, depende yan, guys. Pero ang income statement, okay, tama. Thank you. Calendar year, fiscal year. Thank you for your responses. Ang income statement, laging for a specific period of time. It can be annual. It can be semi-annual. Pwedeng, yung iba gumagawa ng income statement every 6 months. Yung iba quarterly income statement. Yung iba monthly. Yung iba nga weekly. Mayroon nga gumagawa ng daily. No? But what's important here is that it's for a specific period of time. Okay? So kung titingnan nyo yung heading, guys, ng income statement, nakalagay for the period ended 2020. So that's for the calendar year 2020. How about the balance sheet, guys? Para saan yung balance sheet? It tells us of what?
Summary of all the assets and liabilities.
Okay, yun ang mga components, ano? Okay, andun lahat yung assets, liabilities, pati equity, pero but anong tawag natin doon? It tells us of the financial position, no? Or standing of a firm for what? For a position or standing for a what? For a
Period. Specific period.
specific what? Specific? Ay, chat ba? Specific what, guys? Specific? Oops. Specific, ano? So, specific. Yung isa kanina, period, no? Pag income, pag balance sheet naman, ano, guys? Specific?
Year po.
Ha? Specific point. No? Point in time. So, ang balance sheet, guys, makikita nyo as of December 31. Can you give me an example of an account that can be found in the balance sheet? From what you learned in your past subjects, give me an example of an account that can be found in the balance sheet.
Cash.
Cash, yes, cash. So, pag mini-measure natin yung cash, hindi yung for the whole year, hindi yung from January 1 to December 31, hindi. Ang mini-measure natin ng cash, magkano yung cash balance ng company as of December 31, 2020. Magkano yung cash niya on that specific date. So kasi pwedeng the following day, January 1, 2021, magbabago na yung cash balance, no? So yun ang mga yun ang mga nasa balance sheet natin, no? And what are the accounts that can be found in the balance sheet? You have
Account
your
receivable.
correct. Example yon ng anong account yon? Assets, no? Tapos may liabilities din at saka may equity, no? Equity or capital. Okay, so these are the three accounts that can be found in your balance sheet. Okay? And it tells us ano yung position, ano yung standing ng firm on a specific point in time. As of March 31. Okay? Magkano yung cash, magkano yung accounts receivable, etc. Okay? Thirdly, guys, yung cash flow. What does this tell us? Cash flow naman, guys. Ano makikita natin sa statement of cash flow? Okay, it tells us of, okay, dito, tells us of the sources. Saan nanggaling and uses, saan ginamit, of cash. Okay, so sources and uses of cash from investing, okay, financing and operating activities for a specific period of time. Okay? So pareho to si income statement at saka si cash flow. Period of time siya. Sorry for my handwriting, guys. Huh? So I hope you
Sir,
understand.
nawala
I
po
can't
ata
see
yung
your
share
screen.
screen.
Sorry?
Wala po yung share
Sir,
screen.
nawala po yung shares.
Wala. Sorry. Ah. Okay, so what happened here? Okay, can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so sorry nawala. So ito yung sinasabi ko, yung statement of cash flow statement. It tells us of the sources, ano yung pinanggalingan, and uses, ano yung pinaggamitan ng cash. From, you recognize this, investing, financing, and operating activities for a specific period of time. Okay? Investing, financing, and operating activities. Investing, financing, and operating activities for a specific period of time, yun ang cash flow. Okay, and number 4, guys, it's just yung changes in shareholders' equity. Okay, magkano yung shareholders' equity nung January 1, magkano yung shareholders' equity nung December 31, and what were the causes of the changes in your statement of shareholders' equity. So period of time din to. So we account for what changed in the shareholders' equity. So ano ba yung nagpapabago, guys, ng shareholders' equity? Basically, ano siya? Basically, dalawa lang, no? Dalawa.
Equity and drawing.
Una is net
Dividends.
income. Okay, net income, correct. Second is kung may dividends na dividends na in-issue, no? So later on, we're going to learn how to construct your statement of shareholders' equity. So ang objective natin, guys, for this part of our lesson is to be familiar with these 4 statements. And then from here, guys, we'll go to analysis of these financial statements. Kaya nga itong chapter 3 and chapter 4 natin, this is all about understanding the financial statements and then going to analysis of these financial statements. Okay, so ito, guys, I'll leave you to read this. Okay, so hindi na natin aanin to kasi most of these were taken in your other accounting subjects. So may examples dito. So may I request you to go over this. Okay, hindi na natin titinan tong mga to masyado, but we're going to learn this as we go along then, no? Okay, so may konting exercise dyan. All right, this corporate taxes, guys, yung 3.3, don't bother with that kasi this is American setting and it will only confuse us. Dapat pala hindi ko na linagay yan. But you'll have a subject on taxes. So dun kayo magdi-depend dun sa subject na yon. Okay? Balance sheet. Ito yung mga financial statements. Okay, the cash flow statement. Okay, these are just details about the different financial statements. Okay, if you have any questions about this, just take note of it and then you throw it to me, guys, during class and then i-discuss natin. And chapter 4 is this one. Sizing up firm performance through financial statements analysis. All right. Are there any questions on our direction, guys? Clear ba so far? Does this mean that you're not going to read the slides? Hindi. Basahin nyo, guys. Para review lang. But we're not going to review this in greater detail kasi nga, guys, nakuhanan nyo na sa accounting subjects na to. And finance is not really about accounting. It's making use of the principles of accounting also in order to come up with analysis. I dare say that where accounting ends, kasi ang accounting is how to generate the financial statements, where accounting ends, finance begins. No? Kasi yung analysis na. Yung pag-record ng mga transactions, which we know to be bookkeeping, yung pag-record ng debits at saka credits, and then in order to come up with financial statements, yung income statement, balance sheet, cash flows, changes in shareholders' equity, that's a part of accounting. However, from there, yung pag-analyze na, that's now the window of finance. That's now the purview of finance. Okay, any questions?
None po, sir.
None, sir.
Okay, thank you. So kindly open the Excel file, guys. Okay, I'm sure ito hindi nyo na-discuss sa sa accounting nyo, kaya dito tayo mag-focus, no? Okay, can you see the Excel file?
Yes, sir.
Right. So we're going to work on this for the next few sessions. If you look, guys, 6 yata yung dito, ano? There are 7 worksheets. We're not going to work all, we're not going to do everything kasi iba dito para exercise nyo, no? Gagawin nyo yung iba. So let's start first with worksheet number 1, the basic model.
Sir, saan po yung Excel file?
Nasa siya? Okay, let me show you. Ito guys, so ito. Module 3. Okay, here, yung 3.2. No?
Okay po, okay po.
So, sige, has everyone, okay, I'll give you 1 minute guys to download it if you don't have it yet. Pause share ko muna. Remind me to continue sharing, guys. So let's have one minute so that those who don't have the last Wednesday pala, guys, no? Na time warp ako. Hindi niyo ako rin-remind. Akala ko 2 o'clock yung dismissal natin. So sabi ko na ako mag-2 o'clock na tapos na yung session. So I need to wrap this up to respect the time. Tapos na-realize ko afterwards na 2:15 pala yung classes natin. Okay, does everyone have the file already? Paki-chat nga guys kung meron na. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, thank you. The rest, okay na ba? Okay, we're not going to use calculators here, guys, in this subject. Excel tayo kasi ito naman yung talagang spreadsheet na ginagamit in the real world. So I hope with the use of Excel, may enhance yung competency natin sa Excel. Okay, a quick survey, guys, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest and 10 being the highest. How do you rate yourself in as far as competency in Excel is concerned? Pag sinabing 10, sabihin natin na marunong kayo ng programming sa Excel, Visual Basic for applications. Pag 1, halos, thank you, yan, sumasagot na pala kayo. Okay, so nasa middle, merong mga 7, 8, that's very good, okay? Okay, I hope, guys, that in this subject, by the end of the term, if you rated yourself as 5, sana maging 7 kayo or 8. If you rated yourself as 7, sana maging 9 kayo. Kasi we're going to apply many functions that are finance-based. No? Yun ang gagamitin natin dito. Okay, so I think everyone already has the Excel file. Okay, so what's this all about? Am I in the chat? Okay, thank you. Sorry, I need to resume share. Okay. Okay, so our objective for this part of the course is to have a review of your financial statements, your income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flows. I think we'll be able to start doing the statement of cash flows. Okay, so first, tingnan natin yung income statement ni Advanced Technologies. Ano? So sabi, as I said a while ago, guys, yung income statement, it's for a particular period of time. So we have here two periods, the whole of 2019 and the whole of 2020. So the basic financial statements consists of the revenues, the expenses, then the net income. No? The net income. And if there are any dividends, the dividends. Okay, so let's take a look at this, guys. So ibig sabihin nito, thousands of pesos, you'll have to add 3 zeros here. So the sales is not actually 945,000, but it's 945 million. Okay, so let's take a look at this. You have the sales for the period 2020. And then you have the expenses excluding depreciation and amortization. Okay, now my question is, why do you think some companies would have this item in their income statement? Why would they segregate yung depreciation and amortization? Bakit nila tinatanggal sa expenses yung depreciation at saka amortization? We know that these are expenses, but why single out depreciation and amortization? Any idea, guys? You'll see financial statements like this. Why do you think companies do that? Any guess? Okay, so let me answer that, guys. Sige, let me check chat para hindi magulo. Okay, that could be part reason, Hans. That could be part reason, pero ang pinaka reason, no? So, explain ko muna ito. So, expenses, these are the total expenses, but it did not include depreciation and amortization. So, when we subtract this, 945 minus 812, which is 132,300, it's called your EBITDA. No? Ano yung EBITDA? EBITDA means, okay, natin dito. EBITDA means earnings before taxes, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Okay, so that's what this statement means, no? EBITDA. So, I hope, guys, first time nyo ba narinig itong EBITDA na to? Guys, yes or no?
First time, sir.
Okay, good. Ibig sabihin hindi usually dinidiscuss sa accounting to, no? Okay, good. So now you're familiar, guys, pag sinabing EBITDA, okay, that's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Okay, so we have this EBITDA, which is just the sum of the difference between your revenues and your expenses, excluding the depreciation and amortization. Then after this, guys, i-deduct natin si depreciation and amortization to come up with your EBIT. Okay, so your EBITDA for 2020 is 33,100. If we subtract that from your EBITDA, you have now your EBIT. So natanggal na, guys, si DA, no? Yung sa dulo. Kasi binawasan natin si D and A, no? So it's now what's the meaning of EBIT, guys?
Earnings before interest and taxes.
Yes, correct. That's now your earnings before interest and taxes. Now back to my question, bakit, guys, sinisingle out, sinaseparate si depreciation and amortization? Now the main reason for that is we need this item, we need depreciation and amortization to construct your cash flows. Tingnan yung cash flows, oh. Okay. Sa cash flows, guys, kailangan natin si depreciation and amortization. Take a look at this. You know? Yan. In cash flows, guys, kailangan natin i-add back yan. I'm going to explain why. So, that's why this is one form of financial statement where you look at the EBITDA and then You single out depreciation and amortization. For what reason? For the reason that this item, depreciation and amortization, is needed in order to come up with your statement of cash flows. Okay? Pause muna ako. Clear so far, guys? Kung bakit hinihiwalay yung depreciation and amortization? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Yung iba, guys, clear so far? Paki-chat nga kung yes or no.
Sir, question ko lang.
Yes, sige.
Ano po ang amortization?
Okay. Amortization, guys, may mga items na kailangan i-amortize. Example, mga intangible assets, kunyari goodwill o patents, no? Kunyari may gastos yung company na patents, hindi siya outrightly ginagastos, hindi siya dinideclare as expense. Ang ginagawa sa kanya, ina-amortize siya over the years. Kunyari patents, guys. Patents, so gumastos yung company sa patents, pag gumawa ka ng income statement, hindi mo ilalagay na patents expense lahat yun. Ina-amortize mo siya over the years. From last I know, 17 years, pwede, I'm not sure if binago na nila, no? But it's 17 years, so i-amortize mo yung patents na yan. Okay, thank you for asking, by the way, no? So that's good. Okay, clear na ba yung amortization? There are items, okay, in the balance sheet, for example, yung intangible assets, na hindi mo kagad outright ina-expense lahat, but rather, ina-amortize mo over the years. Parang depreciation, di ba? Pag bumili tayo ng equipment, kunyari 1 million, according to GAAP, hindi mo siya ilalagay na equipment expense na 1 million. Okay? How is that? Kasi di ba may principle sa GAAP na na matching of revenues and expenses? Ang equipment, it will benefit other years. So dapat yung other years mag-share dun sa expense ng equipment, no? So ano ginagamit na account para mag-share yung ibang taon dun sa paggastos ng equipment ngayon? What do you call that account, guys? Anyone? Kunyari, bumili ng equipment, o kaya ng land, ng building. Hindi natin linalagay na building expense, no? Rather, sabi natin based on the revenue matching of expense and revenues, inaano natin parang pina-partial natin yung gastos ng revenues na yan, ng equipment na yan. Ano yung account na ginagamit sa accounting?
Depreciation.
Yeah, it's depreciation. Ayan, di ba? Depreciation. Diba? This is based on the GAAP, ang GAAP na matching of revenues and expenses. So yung depreciation at amortization, pareho yung concept nila. Only yung depreciation, ang ina-amortize natin yung fixed assets, si amortization usually yung intangible assets. Alright, so if we subtract depreciation and amortization, we have now EBIT, no? So subtract natin to 99,200. And then we subtract the interest expense. Kasi tax deductible tong interest expense, no? 10,470. So what will now be left is your EBT, earnings before tax, 88,730. Okay, I'm sorry I failed to change this one. Yung taxes dito, 40% pa, no? Nabago na tong tax rate ngayon. 30% na sa corporate, no? So dapat 30% na. Pero let's not mind the 40%, guys. Let's just assume that 40% yung tax rate. Madali naman baguhin actually yan. Pero I won't anymore change, no? And then once we deduct tax, guys, we now have your NIAT, your net income after tax. Clear so far, guys?
Clear po, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. And then dito na papasok yung dividend distribution decision. Naalala nyo, guys, yung pinaka main activities ng finance? Alala nyo? Investing, financing, and yung dividend distribution. So, dito nag-declare ng dividends, nag-issue ng dividends, 43,300. So what was left was addition to retained earnings, 9,938. How did we get this? Net income minus 43,300, common dividends. Ito, Ito yung ipo-flow back to operations of the firm. 9938. Any questions so far, guys? Any questions so far?
None, sir.
Okay. All right. So that's the income statement, no? And then let's go quickly to the balance sheet. So yung balance sheet natin, guys, consists of three main parts: your assets, and then your liabilities and equity. Dapat yata kapit ito. Liabilities and equity. So let's take a look at the asset side. Okay, so di ba may ano yung composition, guys, ng assets? Let's have a quick review ng accounting natin. Assets, ano yung main composition ng assets natin? We have
Current and non-current.
current assets.
And non-current assets.
Ano pa?
Tsaka non-current po.
Okay, ano yung mga non-current assets?
Yung mga buildings, equipment,
Okay,
land,
so you can classify them into
PP.
mga long term.
into what? Ano yung una? Ano yung LTI? LTI, then yung susunod. PPE. Ano pa? What else? IA. Tsaka yung iba. Okay. So ano itong mga to, guys? Si current assets, merong iba't ibang klase din yan, no? Okay, ano yung iba't ibang klaseng current assets, guys?
Cash, sir.
Cash and
Accounts receivable.
cash
Accounts
equivalents, no?
receivable.
Cash equivalents. Next is, before AR, ano siya?
Petty cash ba, sir?
Part pa rin ng cash yun.
Inventory,
yun.
sir.
Hindi pa. Meron pang pangalawa. Ano to? Okay. So ito yung arrangement natin ng current assets, no? And assets are arranged according to ano yung basis ng arrangement na to? According to liquidity. No? Kung ano yung, thank you, no? Tama, liquidity siya. Kung sino yung pinakamalapit sa cash, yun ang uuna. So ano tong MS, guys?
Marketable.
Yes, correct. These are your marketable securities. Ibig sabihin ng marketable securities, these can be traded in the market, or these are your short-term investments. No? Marketable securities, example niyan. Ano example ng marketable securities, guys? Nag-invest kayo sa treasury bill. Okay? And ang term niyan, ang tenor niyan, 3 months lang. So since, pag sinabing treasury bill, guys, sino yung nangutang nun?
Government.
Government. No? Pag treasury bill, treasury bond, pag nakita nyo treasury, ibig sabihin that those are securities issued by the government. So sa tingin nyo, guys, pag ang government humiram, assuming na normal yung yung ano ng government, makakapagbayad ba ito, guys? Ano yung risk na hindi magbabayad yung government? Anong risk, guys? Very small, no? Very small. Para nakasandig ka sa pader niya na magbabayad yung government. Ano yung R, guys?
Receivables.
Correct. Ito yung receivables natin. Maraming klaseng receivables, no? Accounts receivable, notes receivable. I is, ano yung I? Inventories. Okay. Question, guys. Question. Kunyari, bumili yung company ng bond paper. Ang company, let's say si Jollibee, no? So si Jollibee nasa service yan, no? Nasa o kaya si San Miguel, manufacturer ng beer. Yung inventory ba na yung bond paper na binili nila, kunyari at the end of the year may natira pa, may natira pang worth 100,000 na bond paper. Part ba ng inventory siya? What do you think, guys? Part ba ng inventories yun? Yung bond paper na hindi nila nagamit. Yes?
Sir,
Okay,
hindi po ata.
thank you, Hans. Thank you, Gab, for your answers. May dissenting ano tayo. Bakit hindi? Hindi ba inventory yun, yung bond paper na ano na worth 100,000? Gab, bakit no? Okay, the answer guys is hindi. No. Ang inventories guys, ang term yan ginagamit for items that are what? Bought by the company, processed into finished product, and then sold. So ano yung mga tatlong levels ng ng inventories? So strictly speaking guys, yung bond paper na yon, hindi naman siya ginagamit sa manufacturing process, no? So hindi inventory yon. Ang inventories are those that are used for the manufacturing process, for the production of finished goods. Kaya tatlong levels ng inventory, ano-ano siya?
Raw materials,
RM,
work in
WIP,
progress,
correct? At saka?
tapos finished goods po.
Yan, okay. So ito guys yung tatlong levels ng ng inventories, ha. Okay, so we have your raw materials, sulat ko na nga din. Raw materials, and then work in process, and then your finished goods. Okay, so very brief lang to, review ng natin. Para medyo naintindihan natin kung ano yung mga accounts natin. Okay? So ito yung hierarchy ng current assets natin. You have cash and cash equivalents, you have marketable securities, you have receivables, inventories, and ano yung P? Ano yung P, guys?
Prepaid
Okay, these are your prepayments, no? Okay, prepayment siya. Diyan papasok guys yung bond paper na sinasabi natin kanina. Kasi prepaid asset yun eh, diba? Binili muna natin, binayaran, tapos bago pa siya na expense out na gamit. Prepayments ang tawag doon. Okay, so these are your classification of your assets, your current assets. How about your non-current assets? Ano tong LTI?
Long-term
Okay,
investment.
correct. This is your long-term investments. Okay, ano yung PPE?
Property, plant, equipment.
Correct. Property,
Plants, equipment.
plant, and equipment. No? IA is, these are your intangible assets. Yung hindi nahahawakan, hindi nakikita. Example of intangible assets are goodwill,
Patent.
okay, patents, copyright, okay, copyright, etc. So these are just examples ng intangible assets. Ito guys yung ina-amortize. Yung kanina depreciation and amortization, ito yung dini-depreciate, yung PPE, ito yung ina-amortize. And OA guys are your other assets. Those that cannot be classified under, example nito, deferred charges. All right, any questions so far? Okay, guys, excuse lang, may knock on the door lang, no? Hindi lang, ha? Hello, can you hear me, guys? Hello?
Yes po, sir.
Okay, thank
Yes
you.
po.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I had to attend to someone knocking. Okay, so sabi natin, this is how assets are arranged. Pretty straightforward, guys. Of course, some companies have more complex or sophisticated, complex balance sheets, no? Kunyari, guys, yung mga financial institutions, yung banks, nako, isa sa pinaka notorious na mahirap na mahirap na balance sheet. Masyadong maraming items and quite difficult to comprehend, no? Kaya sa isang sa one of your group work is to identify a company, get its financial statements. I don't recommend that you get the FS of a bank kasi mahirap i-analyze. Kasi i-analyze yun eh. Mas maganda pa kung manufacturing company, no? So, if a company is engaged in a service, okay, kunyari, isang service, let's say, service industry, will you expect to have inventories there?
No, sir.
No, wala. No? Kasi sa inventories, guys, ginagamit lang yung account na yan kapag used for production purposes. Kaya nga sabi nga natin, tatlong levels yan: raw materials, work in process, at saka finished goods. And you expect this account to be found only in manufacturing companies. Yung nag-acquire ng raw materials so that they could work on it in order to convert it to finished goods and then, of course, sell it. Okay. So we have here, ito yung si Advanced Technologies, andito yung yung assets niya. Quite simple, no? Cash and cash equivalents. This is your marketable securities or your short-term investments. Andito si accounts receivable, tapos may inventory siya. Okay? Wala siyang, ito yung current assets natin, ano? And then andito yung net fixed assets niya, no? Okay. Ito, guys, abbreviated to net fixed assets. Ano talaga yung whole yan? Ano yung buong, what's the complete way to present your PPE, guys? Paano yun? How should that account be presented? So you have the value of PPE, XXX, and then ano yung contra asset account nito? What did you learn in your accounting?
Deduct accumulated depreciation.
Yes, so accumulated depreciation. So XXX. No? So what do we have here?
Net value of PPE.
Okay, net PPE. No? Pag binayos natin to net, and you call this what, guys? Anong tawag dito, guys? Yung acquisition cost ng PPE minus your accumulated depreciation. What's this? Ito yung acquisition cost kasi natin. Magkano binili yung asset, no? What's this, guys? This is your this is your book value, no? Yun yung book value. Pagkatapos natin i-minus yung mga accumulated depreciation, you have now your net PPE, that's your book value. Okay, so dito ang pinakita lang sa atin yung net fixed assets. Okay, I'm going to explain this more kasi importante yung net fixed assets sa pag-construct ng statement of cash flows. All right, so you have your total assets. So how did we compute for this? We just added all of this to get your total current assets. Ano yung wala sa current assets natin, guys? What account is missing here? Wala siyang prepayments, ano? Wala siyang prepayments. Okay? So sa sa non-current assets, maraming wala. Walang long-term investments, walang intangible assets, walang other assets. Only the net fixed assets. Okay, so we add the total current assets to the net fixed assets to get your total assets. as of December 31, 2020. Yung sa 2019 naman, 768, no? So we see that the total assets increased by around 40,000, no? More or less. Okay, so liabilities and equity naman. So we have this. Anong part ng liability to, guys?
Current liabilities.
Okay, current liabilities at saka non-current liabilities, no? So current liabilities, ang meron niya, accounts payable, accruals, at saka notes payable. We add this to get our total current liabilities. Anong difference, guys, ng accounts payable, accruals, at saka notes payable? Sino yung mas magkapareho dyan? Mas magkapareho dyan, guys, si accounts payable at saka si accruals, no? Ito mas magkapareho. Bakit? In what way are these similar as compared to notes payable? Si accounts payable, guys, these are trade payables. Ano ibig sabihin trade payables? These are quote-unquote short-term loans given by the supplier. No? Parang pinapautang nila si company short-term. No? So makakabili sila ng, let's say, raw material, babayaran nila, let's say, after 15 days, after 30 days, after 60 days, depende dun sa term. So those are trade payables. Si accruals, ganun din, parang payables din yan, no? Okay? So anong difference sila kay notes payable? Ang difference sila, guys, si notes payable, interest-bearing yan. Utang yan na may interest. Si accounts payable at saka si accruals, these are non-interest-bearing. Okay? So, importante yung distinction yan, guys, lalo na pag gumawa tayo ng statement of cash flows. So, our total current liabilities is simply the sum of this. So, 168,012. And then we have this, yung non-current liabilities, long-term debt lang, no? Long-term debt, 94,500. So, if we add the total current liabilities with the long-term debt, we have total liabilities of 262,512. Then sa equity side, you have common stock and retained earnings. Common stock and retained earnings. You have your, if we add this to yung common stock at saka retained earnings, you have your total common equity. Okay? So if we add your total liabilities and your total common equity, you have your total liabilities and equity. And as we know, it should equal your total assets. So ang ibig sabihin nito, yung total assets natin, fina-finance siya 544 ng equity at saka 262 ng utang, liabilities. So this is this is the balance sheet of this company advanced. So meron na tayong income statement. Then we have your we have your balance sheet. Ang gagawin natin, guys, we're going to create the statement of cash flows. So we said a while ago that the statement of cash flows, lagyan natin dito. So let's just put it here. Advanced technologies. Statement of cash flows pro forma, or template. Ginagawa natin siya ng template kasi once na magawa natin to, guys, it's so easy to convert it into the formal statement. Ito na yung formal statement, no? So bago natin gawin tong formal statement na to, it's best to come up with a pro forma. So what's this statement of cash flows all about? Looks like hindi natin matatapos to, pero at least masimulan natin. Okay? Ano ba yung statement of cash flows? Ano yung ini-investigate natin yan? So we're investigating, guys, yung ano nangyari sa cash. Kaya sabi nga dyan, statement of cash flows, no? what happened to cash? At the beginning of the year, no, 2020, the cash balance was 45,000. At the end of the year, no, 2020, how much was cash?
47,250.
47,250. So what happened to cash? Did it increase or did it decrease?
Increase, sir.
It increased by how much? Minus natin to.
By 2,250.
Yan, okay? So cash increased, cash balance increased by 2,250. So ang tanong, saan ang galing tong 2,250 na to? Okay, saan ang galing yung 2,250 na yan? Yan ang tinitingnan natin sa statement of cash flows, guys. We'd like to investigate where this change in cash flow came from. And we can only do that by looking at the operating, investing, and the financing activities. Okay? So saan natin i-investigahan to? In statement of cash flows, guys, okay, what do we need in order to create your statement of cash flows? Anong kailangan natin? Kailangan natin in order to create your statement of cash flows, you need 3 statements. No? Ano yung mga yon? So you need the income statement of the current year, and then you also need the balance sheet of the current and the prior year. So we're going to create the cash flows in 2020 for advanced technologies. So anong kailangan natin? Kailangan natin ng income statement for 2020. Kailangan din natin ng balance sheet for 2020 and 2019. So question, pwede ba tayong gumawa ng statement of cash flows? Do we meet all these requirements in order to create your statement of cash flows? Paki-sagot nga, guys. Paki-chat or paki-unmute. Can we construct the statement of cash flows? Knowing that these are the requirements. Ang requirements natin, income statement ng current year. Okay, anong statement of cash flows ginagawa natin? Anong year, guys? 2020. 2020 yung ginagawa natin, ano? Bago tayo gumawa, guys, tignan muna natin kung kompleto ba yung materials natin, kompleto yung information natin. Okay, so meron bang income statement ng current year, which is 2020? Meron ba, guys?
Meron, sir.
Okay, thank you, Madeline. Okay, meron, no? How about balance sheet of current, which is 2020, and prior year, which is 2019? Meron ba nito?
Meron po, sir.
Yes.
Meron din. Okay? Okay, guys, remember ha, pag ganon, then makakagawa tayo ng statement of cash flows. Meron tayong income statement ng current year at saka balance sheet ng current at saka prior years. Okay, so let's do that. Ano yung first step, guys? First step is we're going to start with the income statement. No? We're going to get the net income after tax ng 2020. Okay, so net income after tax ng 2020. So ano yung net income after tax, guys, ng 2020? $53,000. Okay. Ang tanong, guys, correct, 53,238. Ang tanong, where will it fall under? Will it be part of your operating, investing, or financing? Ano yung net income after tax? Yes. Ano definition ng net income, guys? Ng income statement? Results of the income statement looks at the what? Results of operations, di ba? Yan. So sa operating natin ilalagay yan, operating activity. Okay, question. Yung net income ba to? Is this equal to cash flow? Cash flow ba yan, guys? Si net income after tax? Answer? Is it equal to cash flow? Yes, okay. The answer, guys, thank you, Eliza. The answer, guys, is no. Hindi, this is not equal to cash flow. 53,238 is not equal to cash. Okay. Kaya naalala nyo, guys, yung first principle natin, cash is king. Kaya when you analyze investments, we don't look at the net income. Kasi hindi cash yan. We have to convert that into cash flow. Okay? Bakit kaya hindi income, hindi kaya cash to? Kasi in coming up with the income statements, guys, meron tayong mga linalagay dyan na items na non-cash. Okay, example, guys, example. Ano yung non-cash item dito? Can you think of accounts here that are non-cash? Okay, sagutin ko na. Non-cash dito, guys, correct. Depreciation and amortization. So hindi siya cash item. Kasi pag sinabi natin depreciation expense 10,000, ibig sabihin ba nun naglabas ng 10,000 yung company? Hindi. Okay? Accounting lang yan, accounting principle para ma-share yung expense na yun, yung investment na yun through the life of the asset. Kunyari 10 years, then 10 taon yung mag-share dun sa gastos ng asset na yun. But it does not mean that yung depreciation na 10,000, it does not mean that naglabas yung company ng 10,000. So that's non-cash, no? Pati si amortization, guys, it's also non-cash. Pag ina-amortize natin si patent, hindi ibig sabihin yan na gumagastos tayo, kunyari 5,000 na amortization. It doesn't mean that we're spending 5,000. It doesn't mean that it's a cash expense, hindi. Okay? So, first principle, net income is not cash. It's not equivalent to cash. So we have to convert it, guys, to cash flow kasi ang ginagawa natin, statement of cash flows. No? Statement of cash flows to eh. So cash dapat equivalent yung tinitingnan natin dito. So anong ginagawa, guys? Generally, in order to convert your net income after tax to cash, kailangan i-add back natin yung mga binawas natin na items na non-cash, or kung may dinagdag tayo, ibabawas natin. So ganito lang yung principle, no? Kung may dinagdag tayo, guys, dun sa income statement natin na non-cash, ibawas yun. I-reverse natin. Kung may binawas tayo, i-add back natin. Okay, taking a look at this, guys. Yung non-cash item natin dito, depreciation and amortization lang. So usually, ito lang naman yung ito usually yung non-cash. So in order to convert this, guys, yung net income after tax, in order to convert it to cash, net cash, ano gagawin natin dito sa depreciation and amortization? Anyone? Ano bang ginawa natin dito sa depreciation?
I-add ulit.
Correct. Tama. I-add natin kasi binawas natin to di ba? This was deducted in order to arrive ultimately at your net income after tax. So what we have to do is to add back your depreciation and amortization. Add back natin to. Okay? So let me pick that up here. Depreciation and amortization. So we're going to add that back. No? Operating pa rin yan, ha? Operating. Alright, so let's go now here. No? Pagkatapos yan, guys, we now go to the balance sheet. I-investigate natin kung ano nangyari, guys, kung yung changes ba dun sa assets natin or liabilities and equity, are they form of operating, investing, at saka financing? And if so, are they sources of cash or uses of cash? Remember, guys, ang statement of cash flows, ang tinitingnan natin, source of cash or use of cash. Kung source of cash siya, positive ilalagay natin dito. Kung use of cash, negative. Okay, so it's a matter of parang parang ima-match natin. Saan ba to? Operating, investing, or financing? Ano ba to? Source of cash, use of cash. So dalawa yung question natin, dalawang levels. Is this part of operating, investing, or financing activity? Or is this a source or use of cash? Okay? So It's almost time, guys. So one example lang tayo dito, ha? So cash and cash equivalents to 250, ito yung ini-investigate natin. Dapat pag ninet natin sa ilalim yan, guys, dapat 250 yung lalabas, no? Okay, so this is what we want to determine, itong 250 na to. So let's start with this one, guys. Short-term investment. Ano ba yan? Operating, investing, or financing?
Investing po.
Okay. Okay, investing, no? Okay, may debate dito yung sinasabi, financing siya, no? Yung iba naman, investing. So, ang gagamitin nating rule, guys, na kapag although it looks like investing siya, no? But others would say that if it's interest-bearing, ilalagay natin siya sa financing. Okay? So, yun ang rule natin, na although yung iba, ilalagay sa investing, but for our purposes, guys, is STI natin, si short-term investment, since interest-bearing siya, we're going to put it under financing. Okay, so what happened to short-term investments? Dati 3.6, naging 3.8, no? So was there any increase or decrease?
Increase, sir.
Increase. Magkano increase? Okay, time na. Ito na lang, guys, itong item na to,
200, sir.
200. So, saan natin ilalagay? Ilalagay natin dito sa financing, no? Okay, question. Source of cash or use of cash? Kasi pag source of cash yan, positive. Pag use of cash, ini-negative natin siya.
Source of cash po, sir.
Source of cash, okay? So pag source of cash ba, negative o positive?
Positive po.
Positive. Okay, so yan. Okay? Source of cash, positive. Tama, guys?
So, di ba negative po?
Ay, sorry. Reading ko, ha? Is equal to... Uy! Ayaw pa rin. Ay, ayaw pa rin, guys. Ayaw, eh. Delete ko ulit, no? Oh, ayaw. Ba't ayaw? Ba't nagiging use of cash lagi? Ano yung mali ko, guys?
Sir,
Ha?
parang may line po. Yan po. Tingnan mo po. Parang may line.
Anong line?
Parang may negative symbol.
Ah, negative pala. Okay, negative. Mali pala, no? Is equal to... Uy!
Sir, may negative ulit.
Ah, may negative. Ano ba
Sir,
yan?
sir, may negative po yung 200 niyo.
Ayaw nga, no?
Ayun, sir, meron na.
From the left yan.
Sir,
Ayaw
meron
ni Excel, guys. Ayaw ni Excel.
Sir, nalagyan mo ulit ng negative.
Ayaw niya, eh.
Hindi, sir, isa katabi po ng function.
So you're not supposed to add the...
Is equal
You're
to...
not supposed
Sir, 200. Ayun, sir, may negative ulit.
Ay, may negative. Ayaw niya pawag, guys. Ayaw niya. Ibig sabihin, hindi positive. Yun ang message ko doon. Ibig sabihin, guys, use of cash siya. Oh, gets nyo, guys? Gets?
Yes po,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Ayaw niya, eh. Buti pa si Excel. Talagang ayaw tanggapin yung mali answer. Bakit, guys? Bakit use of cash? Ano ba
Sir,
ginagawa,
binili
guys?
niyo yung investment.
Di ba? Pag tama, no? Pag nag-i-invest tayo, di ba? What do you give, guys? Naglalabas ka ng pera, right?
Yes,
To get
sir.
that security. Tama?
Tama.
Nung una, 3.6 ka lang. Tapos naging 3.8. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Dinagdagan mo yung short-term investments mo, di ba? Tama, guys? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Tama, dinagdagan natin na magkano?
200.
200. Pag dinagdagan natin yung investment natin, naglabas ba tayo ng pera o pumasok yung pera? Source of cash or use of cash? Answer, guys? Source of cash or use of cash?
Use of cash.
Use of cash. Okay, time na, ha? Okay, sorry, thank you. So, kaya nga negative to, ha? Okay, so we'll continue with this next time. Okay, so, we'll continue with this next time. Paki-review nyo, guys, yung statement of cash flows. Okay, so, sige, guys. Stop ko na recording.